Can you be a homesteader who doesn't can her food? Hey y'all, welcome back to the Sage Patch. Today I am going to be showing you how I am preserving beans. Not these beans, these beans. And I can't even fit these beans in the fridge because I have so many of these beans in there. So it's time to do something with them. I have given them away to multiple people. We have been eating them left and right, and I have some in the freezer, and yeah, I've actually dehydrated some too to test them out, see how I like it. But I still have loads. So next up, I'm gonna ferment them. I'm gonna show you how I do that today. So can you be a homesteader without canning your food? I sure hope so, because that's me right here. I have decided I will not be learning to can anytime soon. Instead, I am gonna focus on what I love, what I'm passionate about, and what I'm already doing anyway. I'm just gonna become the queen of them. Dehydrating and fermenting. Yes, I'll freeze things too, and maybe cold storage, type things. I'd love to have like a cellar, wouldn't that be awesome? So do things like that, and even like in-ground storage. There's some crops that you can even just leave in the ground. The ground doesn't freeze around here, which is awesome. So I'm gonna be doing some of that as well. But basically, dehydrating and fermenting. And no, fermenting does not have to be stored in the refrigerator. So these are both non-electrical modes of food storage, preservation. So does canning last longer than fermenting? Yeah, it lasts longer. As far as dehydrating, I don't know. Because if you actually preserve it and store it correctly, no light, no moisture, no oxygen, cool place, cool location. I don't know, man. They can store for years. So I originally decided that I ought to start doing it, because that's like what everybody else does. It's an approved method of preservation for your food. I intend to be growing loads in the garden, and why buy cans or jars of food, at the store, even if it's organic, why not just make it yourself, that'd be so cool. I'm not really interested in doing that. The one thing I am interested in is canning bone broth. Like, I'll make bone broth for my dogs, do it in the slow cooker, and I'd love to be able to speed up that process and actually like cook it in the the pressure canner, and then turn around and actually can the liquid. But I was like, why do I want to do that? Just for bone broth? It doesn't work as a food preservation method for my dog's food, because they eat a raw meat diet. Why am I gonna cook the meat and store it? I'd rather get chickens and rabbits and quail to feed my dogs versus killing their food. You spend enough money for the meat to get it fresh for them, and then I'm gonna just go and cook it. So that was out for the dogs. I can wait on that. And actually, what I'd love to do for the bone broth is I'd love to have a freeze dryer. That is on my list. So when budget allows, I'm totally gonna get one of those, and I will freeze dry the bone broth. Won't that just be amazing? It'll be so amazing. The other reason is I eat a good chunk of raw food. I'm a plant-based whole food eater. A lot of stuff I eat is raw. I love it. Garden abundance I'm in heaven with all this stuff, right? So I'm gonna take this amazing Brandywine tomato, that blood, sweat, and tears to grow this thing and to save it from all the bugs. And it's beautiful. I just love the pinky color of this. And this one's looking great. It didn't crack or anything, so it's just the beauty. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna heat it up to high temperatures and wipe out all of the enzymes and the nutrients that make this so amazing. Why? I can buy for a couple dollars, I can buy organic canned tomatoes. Organic, right? With only whole food ingredients, no preservatives and all that. I can get it. So I can't get this tomato right here at a grocery store. And I just can't get it, period. And then I can't get it at any kind of doable price, right? I want to eat this fresh. So I'm doing as much of that as I can, of course. But how to preserve this as fresh as possible is not canning. And it just kills me to take this and cook it and just take all the yumminess out of it like that. Granted, no, I know canned foods do taste good and there is a place for them. And it is still better than preserved foods and box foods and all that from the store. And it is from your own garden if you can source it from your own tomatoes. Even if you had to go and buy, bulk and then, preserve it that way. That's great too, but you have the food. That's the important thing, granted. But for me personally, I have an option. My option is to do that just speaks to my soul and what I feel confident in doing and what I know is the healthiest thing for my family when I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. I want to be as healthy as possible through it all and have an abundance of food. And so I'm going to do that with dehydrating and fermenting. And really, I should say fermenting first because that's my first and foremost focus. Because that keeps your food not only just alive, but it also adds beneficial bacteria to it. So you've got your probiotics that then you're feeding your microbiome and your gut, keeping yourself healthy. Amazing stuff. So I will be doing a lot of fermenting with the tomatoes. Dehydrating side is I love to do sun-dried tomatoes, dehydrated version, and then also turn it into a tomato powder. Then you can add it to everything else that you're doing. You can also freeze some while we have the electricity, you might as well use some of it, right? So freeze some to be ready to just throw in the blender to make up a yummy spaghetti sauce. So feels good just to get that out there and say that's what I'm doing. These are Chinese red noodle beans and they don't taste like green beans at all. So if you don't like beans, there's still hope that you could like these. They are delicious. My vines are producing non-stop. It's just incredible. Oh, and actually, I do have that jar there, fermented tomatoes with basil and garlic. I can't wait to open it. I think it's could be ready now, but I just haven't tested it yet. But, I'm so excited about it. And crack it open, that jar, to let the bubbles out. That made me so excited to taste it and I want to have this food. I don't get excited like that when I think about canning. It really makes me sad. So I'm gonna listen to myself and do what feels right for me. So fermenting. Let's get these out of the fridge. I'll show you what I got. Okay, here goes. This bag. Whoa. This bag. Cantaloupe that needs to be cut up. Oh, so yummy. I have some in here. Oh my gosh, I have some in this one. I have some in this one too. Oh my gosh. Oh, and another cantaloupe. I don't know why I have no room in here. Beans are everywhere. Not complaining. Side note, these boxes are Debbie Greenmeyer. They're amazing. You can store dehydrated foods in here, dried things that need to stay crispy, things that need to stay, good in your fridge. What you do is you wipe the moisture off here periodically, but it keeps them fresh for so long. Way better than these plastic bags, but I filled up my boxes and I had to go to the bags, but. All right, see? More green beans. That's the next project. Get these beans out. Oh my gosh. I put the green beans in here. This will be a whole one of green beans. That one. I do also have a few of these. I have some asparagus beans and some yard-long beans, and they are apparently two different varieties, though they're kind of called interchangeably, but more beans. Let's get this organized. When I saved this to actually use as for my fermenting, to hold down the food in the jar, under the brine. I got another one. Awesome. Beans. Beans. Cucumbers. Oh, I don't have any in here. Oh my gosh, what? A box without beans? Crazy. Mostly cucumbers in here, so. Okay. I'll put them out of here. And I can repackage the rest of the stuff. Yeah, see. Not sure what to do with these yellow cucumbers yet, see how they taste, but I left them out there too long. Oh my gosh, this one actually looks like a real pickle one. The right size and everything. Huh. Cool. Random okra. I want a seed save from this okra plant. So cool. Of course, I have to taste it first. It may not taste good, but I'm assuming it will. These are only beans. Okay. Wow. Look at this. Oh my gosh. When I put it all together, this is incredible. And you think like how much we've already eaten and given away and frozen. I am so grateful for this abundance. I forgot that I need to sterilize my jars. So because I intend to do some long-term storage with these beans, because there's so many of them to eat, if I were just gonna put them directly into the fridge, you know, and just eat them over the next, you know, few weeks or a couple months or whatever, be one thing. But I intend to put these in the pantry once they've fermented and do a long-term storage on them. So I wanna make sure I start out with sterilized jars, and I'll use a little bit of extra salt as well. But I'm gonna get these in the dishwasher, and then I'm gonna prep everything, and this is gonna take a while. Actually, maybe I'll just boil up some water and I'll pour some hot water over them instead of running the dishwasher for so long. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll get some boiling. Okay, so while that's boiling, I'm just gonna start getting these chopped up a little bit. I'm only gonna cut the tops off. The bottoms are fine, they don't need to be cut, so I just kind of get all the tops lined up. Do a few at once. Another bean. These are gonna go on as toppings to other things and all. So I'm gonna do maybe like 1.5 inches or something. I like them longer, and my husband likes them shorter, so we'll kind of meet in the middle there. Nothing has to be exact. Okay, I'll keep going on these. I'll be back. I should have been using this bowl, which has a much bigger base, but oh well. Mostly concerned about the inside. Well, I'm actually only concerned about the inside, so yeah, we'll just leave them sit there until I use them. Because this is real life, right in the middle, I've got the beans chopped, looking beautiful, and I decided to separate actually the green from the red, just so we can actually have a good difference if they're, you know, as far as taste goes, to know, because I did one batch of fermented beans weeks ago, and we didn't like it, and it really just kind of tainted us from having these beans. So I want to make sure that we just do it straight, plain, garlic, onions, and beans. It's gonna be amazing. Then this one, green beans more so, I think I may do more of might do some like oregano or some other kind of herb, maybe basil in there. See how it goes. So my point was, my honey's been working late today and he'll be home shortly, so I need to take a pit stop, pause, and I'm gonna spiralize some, or I'm gonna turn into noodles, some of the sweet potatoes, and then make this almond butter peanut kind of sauce to go on them. It's like really good. So fresh greens in there. Oh, that's just what it needed. Looks so delicious. Done. Oh, flies? Really? Dinner is served. I'll be back with the beans shortly. Okay, I'm back. So, dinner was great. I am so full. My husband was in love with it. We haven't had that in a while, but it is so delicious. So, while he was loading up the dishwasher and the dogs were all moving around, everybody's trying to get situated, I went ahead and chopped up, peeled, and crushed to activate the Allison, this garlic, and chopped up, well, sliced into little half-moon slices, 4 sweet onions. So we're gonna do that, and then I got the green beans over here, got the next round of jars, got some hot water on them, get sterilized, and I got the first 4 ready to go. So now we're gonna load up, see if we can get this going, because dogs are crashed out like right here. They are ready for dinner. So let's load up. I'm gonna start with some garlic. I love garlic. This isn't enough, really. Garlic, when you put it in your fermentation jars, it really mellows out, so it's like a total treat. I love to put it at the bottom because it's like this special reward when you get to the end of the jar. It's like, who gets the garlic cloves? You could just eat these things whole without that bitter bite that garlic has. So good. So I'm gonna do more than 4 jars. I'm not sure how many jars, but I'll definitely need to chop some more garlic. And then do a few onions. Keeping this recipe really basic because, like I said, I just want to get these put away. I still have beans on the vine. It's not done. The season's not over with, that's for sure. So this is just getting me caught up, and then we'll see how this all tastes, and if we like it, we'll just keep doing this recipe, but then I can get a little bit more creative and do like 1 jar at a time and test it out. I don't want to be creative with it right now when I just want to get them in and get them fermenting. You want to get in, like, of course, as many as you can. Kind of squish them in and push them in a little bit. You want to pack them in. Fermented onions are so good. I mean, fermented foods are just like delicious, but onions are really good. I'm gonna put the brine in on top, and then we'll see how they settle down and how much more I can fit in. Need some salt. We generally do a tablespoon of salt per jar, quart size. And I'm gonna do, this is Celtic sea salt. Has to be non-iodized salt, very important, otherwise it kills all the good stuff that's going on here and it won't ferment properly. I'm going to do a heaping tablespoon because these are going for longer storage time, so I'm giving them some extra salt. Okay, and then we'll get some water going. Okay, see if we got enough water in here. We want to start to jam it down a little bit more. See if we can really pack it in. And then a few more beans. We need all of the veggies to stay underneath of the salt water. That's what's going to ensure that they don't get moldy and keep the bad bacteria from forming. The good bacteria needs an oxygen-free environment, so under the salt water is where the good bacteria can populate. And we sterilized the jars, so we killed all of any of the bad bacteria that could try and take over, so they'll be really good. So let's see if I can use this piece of onion that I saved to keep these down. I don't know if this will work. Just, ooh, hey, wait, this might work. Let me wedge one more in over here and see. Oh my gosh. Wow, this is awesome. Okay, and it is barely covering it right now, but it'll build up a little bit more as it starts to bubble and ferment. So it should rise up a little bit more, but if not, I can still retop it. But it's all covered right now, which is great. Awesome, and I got extra onion in there for the flavor. Perfect. So we screw the lid on, and then I'm gonna set it in this tray. I'm gonna run out of space here, because they're gonna flow over a little bit. That one's done. This one's done. Alright, see if my onion trick works again. Check too to make sure there's not any pockets of air in here. You can poke, you know, a chopstick down in there if there are air pockets, because we don't want that to be the case, but this looks pretty good. 2 down. I'm going to top this one off and then get some more in here too. Okay, so this one's color will fade a little bit on these. They'll turn colors, but it's so pretty right now. I'm gonna use a regular mouth jar. Set it inside. That's good. Perfect. No bubbles. All right, those 4 are done. Okay, I have one that I saved from another ferment I did that was something with oregano, because I got an oregano leaf here. But this is a good width, so I know it worked before, so we'll just reuse this one. I'll use the smooth end on top. Just push you down, try and get you under the edge of the jar. Oh yeah. And half an onion left in there. I'm going to take a couple of the strips. Trying not to break it. That came out pretty good. Now we'll see how this goes. Do some water. And just to clarify, I'll check them as you're going to open them and burp them every day and let the bubbles out, but don't take the lid off. You just want to like crack it and let the bubbles out. Some water may ooze out, that's fine, normal. But bubbles, it's doing its thing. I'll check the one that I used the lid on, and granted the lid wasn't sterilized, so that will be the one that we eat first to sample it all out and see how we like the flavor and everything. So. And then this other piece has already been fermented and got all the good stuff in it, so I'm not worried about that. Again, it's under the liquid as well. Okay, that one looks good. All right, let's see if we can do this with one piece. Okay. These onion pieces are going in on top to hold it all down. That's awesome. Mostly it's the 2 pieces that work the best. So I'll remember that. I do like to use the cabbage core and the cauliflower core as well. Those work really well. Wow, that's really neat. Sweet. 8 jars. Fantastic. Beans, I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to decide on the spices that I'm going to put in, and then I'm going to need to do some more onions and probably more garlic for them too. So we're not going to worry about these for tonight. So see what happens when you're tired? As I'm cleaning everything up, I realized I didn't put salt in any of the 4 jars. The second 4 jars. Thank goodness I'm going to put it away, and I'm like, oh, you didn't do that. So I added it to this one. But I only did I didn't do a heaping one, so we'll do a heaping one. Heaping one. Oh gosh. So glad I remembered. I'd be like, what is going on? And tomorrow, it's just okay, salt is in. And it'll dissolve. Sitting on top is a good thing. Whew. Okay. 8 jars. 2 there, 6 here. Now all I do is I put them in one of these Pyrex baking dishes because it'll catch any of the stuff that leaks over, which is great. Just saves me from cleaning up a mess and saves, you know, from soaking into like anything. Then you cover it up because you want it to be dark. You could put this away somewhere even warm is good because this is using the warmth, you know, to ferment. So the hotter it is in your house, the faster it will ferment. But anywhere from 3 to 7 days, you'll see the bubbles kind of stop. Then you know that it's basically fermented. It will continue to ferment, but at a much slower rate, you know, going forward. And so your choice is then at that point to either put it in the fridge and just be eaten out of it, and no problem, you can just be, you know, sticking forks in it and contaminating it. Or you can put it into the coolest room you have in the house. If you have, you know, a basement, cold storage, you know, cellar, just a room that, you know, closet, something that's dark and as cool as you can get it. That's where you want to keep them. The one that has the regular mouth lid in it, you will take that out when it's done fermenting and then put you know, the regular lid back on top. All the rest have food inside of them as the you know, the weight that's holding them down, so that can all stay in there just fine, so you won't need to remove anything from those. And like I said, you'll just open these every day, just kind of crack it, you know, quarter turn, and you'll see the air come in and it'll start to suck up bubbles, and it may spill over a bit, but don't need to take the lid off. It could create more of a mess. Just let it ooze out a bit, and then cover it back up and check it the next day. And that's it. That's it. So now I am caught up on my Chinese red noodle beans until tomorrow when I harvest some more. Side note, these are some hot peppers from the garden. I only had this many at the time, so that was the size of the jar. And I'm just gonna, my intention is to make like a hot sauce with them. So I'm probably just gonna blend them up and turn it into, you know, a topping hot sauce. I may mix it with avocado because that's like really good, but we'll see. But I wanna show you. Here on the bottom, you'll see, you know, the, I don't know, the cloudiness, and you'll see all that coming up. That is totally normal. It's just fine. Don't ever worry about that. You've got, you know, yeast that will be growing in here that then will die off and sink to the bottom. Sometimes you'll get the yeast will form a white, kind of like a powdery flat layer across the whole top of it. Don't freak out about it. You can just stir it back up, or, you know, eventually it'll fall back down. You can skim it off. You can use a paper towel to wipe it out. That's fine. Any mold will actually be a color, you know, purple or pink or blue or black. It will look fuzzy. It could be like bumpy all over the surface. It will smell bad as well. But honestly, there's only gonna happen if you leave the water, like the brine, salt water is too low and you've got veggies exposed on the top. That is what can mold. So that's the important part. Once they're covered, it's fine, you know. So that's why these can go for long-term storage, because the salt is going to protect them. That's why when you're storing for longer term, you know, 6 months and beyond, year and beyond, you add extra salt. So, and you make sure to sanitize the jars too. 2 really important things to give you kind of an edge on helping it stay good, you know, for a lot longer. It will still continue to ferment at a much slower rate though. It really just depends on how cold your spaces that you can kind of keep it in and how much light you can block, and that you keep it covered good. I will keep you posted on the red noodle beans because there will be another round of something for them. I'll change up the recipe, you know, we'll sample this, you know, in a week or so and see how we're liking it. And if we just want to do more of that, we will. If I want to add some extra flavors. If you guys have any ideas for flavors, if you've eaten a red noodle bean, knowing that it doesn't taste like a green bean, it's very savory, you know, it's got a dense, kind of like almost a meaty, you know, taste to it. It tastes really good in Asian stir-fry dishes, you know. So some good seasonings for it that I could, you know, put in the jar. I'm game to try some other stuff too. I'm gonna test out my dehydrated ones and see how I like them, maybe as a crinkle topping on salads, if that's edible that way, and we'll see how hard they are. Or if I reconstitute them, then what I decide to do with them that way. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted, but I'm open for any and all ideas on preserving Chinese red noodle beans. Not only are my current vines still going to town, I've seed started a few more because I just wanted to make sure the seeds I saved actually were viable. They are, so that's great. And I have a few more growing, so yeah, I see a lot of more red noodle beans in my future, but thanks for hanging out with me. I am off to feed the dogs, so then it's getting late, so then I can sit down and relax a bit before bed. So I will see you all, or you will see me on the next video. Thanks for watching, and until then, have a wonderful night and happy growing.